Welcome back to my channel. I'm Joe with Smokin Joe's Pit Barbecue. On today's video, I'm going to be taking an entire prime brisket and we're going to be making it some barbacoa. Stay tuned. You can see, look at this bark. It's crazy. Oh man, this is perfect. It helps to start with a nice sharp knife, okay? Oh my goodness. Look at that. All right, so we're starting with a 17-pound prime brisket. Now, before I get to trimming and opening this package, I'm going to show you how I'm going to make a paste that we're going to be rubbing on this brisket, okay? So I got my mortar and pestle here, and I've got about 6, 7 cloves of garlic here, and I'm just going to smash them in here. All right, to help grind the garlic down, I'm going to add 1/8 cup of salt. This is kosher salt. All right, so I've got my garlic and salt all ground up in here. To this mixture, I'm gonna add 1/8 cup of black pepper, 1/8 cup of onion powder, 1 tablespoon of granulated garlic, 1/8 cup of paprika. I'm using a Spanish style paprika, 1/8 cup of cumin, 1/8 cup of a light chili powder, and 1 tablespoon of oregano. Mix this up. All right, so we got to make a paste out of this. So I'm going to use some olive oil. Just mix some in there. All right, so you want enough olive oil in here to create a thick paste. And I might need a little bit more. Yeah, just a little bit more. All right, so we got our paste nice and incorporated. As you can see, it's nice and thick right here. I'm gonna take the brisket out of the package and I'll bring you guys right back. All right, so here's my 17-pound prime brisket, and it is a good looking brisket. The edges aren't oxidized or anything, so I'm not even gonna trim any of that. But I am gonna remove this big decal fat right here. And I am wearing a cut glove, and I highly recommend, if you're gonna be doing any meat trimming, to wear that cut glove under your rubber glove, because accidents happen really quick, okay? And that glove will protect you from cutting yourself. So just remove that decal. All right, so I've got most of my decal off, and let's take a look at the fat cap. I'm gonna try not to trim the fat cap much. So just a little bit of this oxidized meat right here, which is nothing but fat anyway. Some of this loose fat here. Just take that off. Okay, so that looks good to me. All right, so I'm gonna cut this brisket into 4 pieces. That way it cooks a little bit faster, starting with the top of the flat and the majority of the point. You can see the flat right here and the point right here, nicely marbled. I'm going to trim some of this fat right here because we've got a lot of fat on this piece. But you do want some fat for this barbacoa, okay? That looks good to me. In fact, I'm going to cut it down into only 3 pieces. That looks good to me right there. Oh yeah, you can see your point right here and your flat right here, and the fat content is perfect. This one doesn't have a whole lot of fat, and I'm okay with that. All right, so I'm just gonna move a couple of these pieces out of the way and start with the center piece right here. And here's our paste that we made. This is where you're gonna get a little bit dirty, but that's why we wear gloves. And I'm preparing this the night before, so this is gonna sit in my fridge overnight before I put in the smoker, okay? So just grab some of your paste, and look at this beautiful color that we have created with this paste. So if you notice the spices that I used, we use a lot of these spices in Mexican style cooking. From the comino, which is a cumin, the garlic, the oregano, the salt, the pepper. I mean, we use all of these spices a lot in Mexican cooking. So by preparing this the night before, that's gonna allow these spices to really penetrate this meat as much as possible. Okay, And this is the coverage that you want right here. It's got a beautiful red color. All right, I'm gonna get these other 2 pieces done and I'll bring you guys right back. All right, so I've got our brisket entirely lathered up, and the spices and the olive oil and the fresh garlic and the aroma in my kitchen right now is fantastic, okay? So I'm just gonna cover this up with foil. Tomorrow morning, I'm gonna fire up my Yoda Frontiersman. I'll see you guys then. All right, it's the very next morning, and I've got my smoker up and running, 275 on the lower gauge, 300 degrees on the top gauge on the right side of my smoker. Again, I'm using my Yoda Frontiersman. So I'm going to be placing the brisket right here on the lower right hand side. This is something you rarely see me do because this runs really hot. Now I can control the temperature, but I like that it runs really hot, so if I want to finish something off, I can bring it here. So we're only going to cook this or smoke this for about 2 hours, okay? So here's our gorgeous briskets. And again, I'm putting the fat cap down, just like that. Fat cap down. Right there, and here's the majority of our flat. Again, fat cap down, just right there. So the brisket's gonna cook for 1 hour. Again, it's gonna be a pretty high heat, 275 to 300 degrees. And then I'm gonna come back in an hour, flip them, and I'll show you the next step, so don't go away. All right, so it's been 1 hour, and again, the pit has been running at 275 degrees. Let's go ahead and flip our briskets. So we got a really nice color already. See that? Got that fat nice and seared, and that's what I want. Oh yeah, look at that. That is exactly what we want. Let's flip this last piece, just like that. All right, so these are gonna cook for 1 more hour. We're gonna come back, put them in a pan, put some stuff inside the pan, and get this nice and tender. Stay tuned. All right, so it's been an hour now. Total cook time is 2 hours. 1 on each side, and I've got the color that I want. It's gonna have some good smoky flavor to it. Look at that, nice and juicy. So I do have a bed of onions here. Just gonna place the briskets on top of the bed of onions. All right, so I've got the briskets pulled off, and I am using about 7 bay leaves. Just throw them in there. In fact, I'm gonna probably add about 12 bay leaves. Okay, it's a lot of meat. And to this, I'm gonna add 1 quart of vegetable broth. So this is gonna have a really good flavor. And again, the vegetable broth is not gonna change the taste of the beef. The beef, in fact, is gonna flavor the vegetable broth. Okay, so add an entire quart. So I'm gonna cover it with foil. All right, so I am moving the brisket barbacoa to the left side of the smoker, top shelf. Just like that. All right, so the barbacoa is going to sit wrapped in the foil for 4 hours. We'll come back at that point and check the tenderness. Stay tuned. All right, so 4 hours since we put the brisket in foil. Total cook time right now, we're at 6 hours. Let's take a look at the brisket barbacoa, I should say. Ooh, and it is hot. I'm gonna go ahead and take the foil off. And man, look at all the fat that is rendered off, okay? So let's check the tenderness. Oh my goodness. It's like falling apart. Yeah, it's coming apart. But what I want to do is get this top side nice and tender as well. So what I want to do is I'm going to flip the briskets. Now all this juice, in Spanish we call it consommé, okay? It's just the renderings of your cook really, or au jus. So just going to flip this over. Oh yeah, that is looking really good. So here's part of the flat right here. You can see it's really tender. In fact, I'm gonna give me a little snack right here. Oh yeah, really good flavor, right? So I'm gonna cover it back with the foil, give it another 2 hours. Stay tuned. All right, so the barbacoa is ready. Now I did pull it off at 7.5 hours because it was nice and tender, and it has been resting for about 45 minutes, but it's still gonna be really hot. So let's take a look at this brisket barbacoa and see how we did. Oh man, my kitchen smells amazing. So look at this. It is shredding nicely. This is part of the flat and the point. So I'm sure I've got some some of the fat right in the middle somewhere. I gotta tell you, that fat really rendered nicely. All right, so I'm just gonna get some chunks off of this. Make sure I get some of the flat and the point. All right, so here's a good chunk of our point. And as you can see, that fat has really rendered nicely, okay? I'm using my nice Dow Strong cleaver. I will leave a link in the description box on where you can get yours. So we're just gonna chop this up. And you see, smoking it for 2 hours early on in the cook gives you these nice little nuggets right there. Man, this is gonna be good. All right, I'm also gonna add some of the juices and some of those onions that have pretty much disintegrated. Add some of that flavor in there. Just like that. They're really nice and juicy. There we go, just like that. All right, let's make some tacos. All right, so we're gonna fry up some tortillas. I've got some canola oil, just about that much. I've got some corn tortillas. Just gonna fry these up real quick. Now what I like to do is fry one side first. And these are gonna be hard shell tacos, okay? Just fry one side first, which is gonna be the inside where the meat's gonna go. Just so that it's pliable. Okay, that's good. Flip it. We're gonna add a bit of salt. By the way, I did add some salt to the barbacoa, to the brisket barbacoa. It needed just a little bit. So at this point, I'm gonna add some of our brisket barbacoa into the taco. Add a good amount. We're still gonna add some toppings to it, so not too big, okay? Okay, just like that. Then we're gonna fold these in half. Just like that. And let them fry up a little bit. Let them get nice and toasty. Okay, gonna add a little bit more oil just to get the shells nice and crispy. All right, let's flip our tacos. There you go. You want that nice golden brown tortilla, just like that. All right, we're gonna let these finish cooking up, and I'll bring you guys right back. All right, so I've got the tacos fried up. So we're just gonna add some onions and some cilantro into each taco. Just like that. All right, the next thing we're gonna add is some salsa. Now this is chile de árbol, okay, which is really, really hot. So I'm just gonna add a little bit over the top, just like this, because this is really hot, but I like spicy stuff, so. Then I have some jalapeno salsa that we're gonna add as well. Just like that. A little bit of onions on the top, a little bit more cilantro. We're gonna squeeze some lime on the tacos, just like this. Oh boy, is your mouth watering yet or not? And I also have some avocado, okay? Sprinkle some salt on the top. Let's give it a taste. All right, let's see how we did on our brisket barbacoa tacos. I can't wait. This smells absolutely delicious. Here we go. Let's get some of that salsa. That is a really good tasting taco. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. That is the best taco that I've ever had in my life. So full of flavor. That tender brisket with the seasonings that we used early on. It marinated overnight. It did it justice. Smoked it for 2 hours and covered it. This is really good. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I give this taco a 10. The brisket barbacoa is absolutely delicious. I highly recommend that you guys give this a try. Check out the links in the description box. There you're gonna find some of the items that I use in this video. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. Until next time, Joe with Smokin Joe Spit Barbecue. See ya.